First of all, I have been to a lot of retirements. I've been in the Air Force for 30 years. I've never seen this level of support from family. It is unbelievable how much family and friends are here. This is amazing. So I appreciate you all coming. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see so many people, so many of Joel's family and friends. While I generally, as a rule, do not get in the way of a large room full of reservists and an afternoon sign-out or celebration in the Outback out here. However, I agreed to make an exception for this very important ceremony. It's certainly great to see so many leaders in the room, and I want to again say thank you and acknowledge everybody that we've already heard about, but our commanders, our first sergeants, our chiefs, our co-workers, our friends, and our family. It's so good to see everybody here today. At a ceremony like this, your presence makes what's already a special occasion that much more meaningful. So thank you. I specifically want to recognize and thank Joel's family. Every member of the military, whether you're an airman, a soldier, a sailor, a Marine, or a Guardian, we all have one thing in common, and that is we need support. We need support from those that are our loved ones. It's especially evident today that Joel has the utmost of that support, in abundance. And having this many family members and friends is a testament to not just to Joel, but to the whole family. So, welcome. I extend a special thank you to Joel's wife, Francesca, his children, Joel, Elise, and Nathaniel, and to Joel's parents, Joel Sr. and Melissa. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for raising a young man of faith, character, and devotion. Those traits have served him well, and they have made him a great airman. I also want to recognize Francesca's parents, her mom, Jennifer Gonzalez, her father, Francisco, and spouse, Rosemary. Thank you so much for being here. Today we honor Joel as he completes 20 years. Think about that, 20 years of dedicated service to our country, honorable service to this great country. But that service has been made possible through the unwavering support and love given by his family members, and a lot of them are here right now. So let's give a round of applause to Joel's family. This is I also want to say it's nice to have my sweetheart in the room. Please. Thank you. And let me say this before we proceed. Over the years, I have tried to live by the priorities, which I call the 3 F's: faith, family, and force. I've always believed that if those are in order, life's challenges are overcomable, life's opportunities achievable, and life's transitions more bearable. I think Joel, as I've watched him manage himself in his life, he seems to have it right. Strong faith and placing great importance on family, as evidenced here today. And that has enabled him to excel in the force, in the Air Force. So he's got those priorities, I think, in the right order. I believe he's done it and continues to do it the right way. We don't always get it right. I think Joel's getting it right. As I said earlier, I don't make it a habit to get in between reservists and sign out at the end of the day. Not a good thing to do. But about a month ago, Joel got a hold of me and asked would I be willing to officiate his retirement. How could you say no? Such an honor. I was absolutely honored that he would even ask. And I agreed that I would make an exception to that rule by not getting between reservists and their escape for this ceremony. A ceremony like this certainly warrants my acceptance of that request, so I agreed to provide, as requested, a 1-hour retirement speech. So here we are. Joel, today is certainly about you. You've earned it. We cannot honor you appropriately, though, without again recognizing all the love and support from your family and your friends that have made it possible for you to be here today. And I do sincerely consider this an honor, and it's my highest privilege to have this opportunity. So thank you. I'll do my best to recognize and capture your 20 years of service, dedicated and faithful service, and try to be able to explain what that means to this 403rd Wing and to our country. Thank you again for considering and allowing me to be your presiding officer for this ceremony. It really means a lot. So a little over 20 years ago, Joel stood in West Biloxi at Larry Bogart Volunteer Park. And those are the Little League fields in West Biloxi. And he enlisted into this great Air Force. Some of you might know about those fields. On that day, Joel said these words, "I, Joel Wilson, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I'll bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me, according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God." And I believe Joel knew what he was getting into when he said those words. This was a public statement of commitment. On that day, Joel promised to support the Constitution of this great nation. On that day, he promised to defend our country against all enemies. It was a decision to put others in his country before himself, no matter the cost. It was born out of a sincere desire to serve his country and to respect the leaders with whom he would work. Joel willingly served with those leaders and made a commitment, understanding that he would need support from his family and his co-workers and from his Almighty God. Joel, 20 years later, it is evident that you kept up your end of the bargain. You honored and lived up to that sacred oath. Thank you. Let me talk about how Joel got here. After Joel enlisted in 2002, he went to basic training, of course, and then to technical training. He attended Air Transportation School at Lackland Air Force Base, and after that he was assigned to the 41st Aerial Port Squadron right here at Peasley. Shortly after that, Joel met a very important and special person in his life, and he took her to homecoming that year. More on that in a bit. After only a couple years in the 403rd, Joel deployed in April of 2005 to Ali Al Salim, Kuwait. And as an Air Services journeyman, Joel participated in moving the 1 million passenger off of that base that year. He also helped load over 200,000 passengers, 12,000 tons of cargo, spanning over 7,000 missions in support of Operations Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. He was instrumental in the aerial port's outstanding 98% departure reliability rate, and equally impressive was Joel's contribution to a totally mishap-free upload of over 22 tons of explosive materials for Operation Steel Curtain. His efforts were instrumental in stemming the tide of foreign insurgents that were crossing the border to fight against our U.S. forces and coalition forces. After returning from that deployment in 2006 from a hugely successful one-year deployment in Kuwait, he returned home to some pretty exciting times ahead. In that same year, he got engaged to his lovely sweetheart, Francesca, who he had met in 2003, that special homecoming sweetheart. Joel reminded me that he had dinner with Francesca at Chili's several months earlier, and that he knew she was the one. Joel was in love. So he took Francesca back to that same Chili's, and there he proposed.
That's a story I will never forget.
She said yes, and Joel married Francesca in December of 2007. A story some of us will never forget, right, Lee? Joel continued to serve as an aerial porter until 2012, and then cross-trained into the Loadmaster career field and joined the mighty 815th Airlift Squadron, also here in the 403rd Wing. He survived what was no doubt a very intimidating and difficult interview by Chief Pelche, and only then was he blessed off to attend Loadmaster Technical School, which he had to do before he could then receive permission to come back and serve in Colonel Ord's Airlift Squadron. Almost immediately, following his tech school and survival training, Joel was greeted with news of another deployment. And that tells you something, because Colonel Ord wasn't sending anybody to his war that wasn't ready. Joel succeeded and was ready. This time he went to Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar in the fall of 2013, and he returned in early 2014. I specifically remember this deployment and this part of Joel's career because my son Shane, who's here, had also just completed Loadmaster training, and he was on that same deployment. This was Shane's first deployment, and I was already in country there at Al Udeid, so I made sure that I was at the ramp to meet him when he stepped off of that airplane that we call the rotator. Joel and Shane arrived and stepped off the plane together that night. Shane was put in a room 3 doors down from my room in the trailer that night, and Joel was close as well. And the next morning, the whiteboard outside of Shane's room read in bold, dry erase marker, Baby Hogue. And when I went to my room, my whiteboard said Papa Hogue. And those names have stuck since 2012's deployment. I will forever be in this unit, Papa Hogue. Shane will always be Baby Hogue. Now, Joel often told me on that deployment how much he respected and enjoyed his fellow aircrew members and how much he learned from flying with them and the other aircrew experts on the deployment. On his first deployment as a loadmaster, he was assigned to an awesome crew. He was fortunate enough to fly with nearly 20 combat and support missions with Huck Russell, Peyton Eustace, and Michelle Young. I had the distinct honor and privilege on that deployment and other of Joel's deployments to be able to support his crews and other crews by providing intel briefings prior to each one of their missions. I always remember Joel being excited about his missions and being extremely professional and competent and ready to take on the challenges and loadmaster duties each mission presented. He worked hard and he truly enjoyed learning from and also teaching loadmasters. Joel, like many other traditional reservists, had to constantly be mindful during all of this time about his civilian employment and his life outside of the military. And interestingly, on his 2012 deployment, to avoid missing out on one of those opportunities, he actually interviewed for a job over the satellite phone. Probably an expensive interview that the taxpayers are probably still paying for. After the deployment in 2012 and 13, Joel would remain with the 815th Airlift Squadron as a loadmaster, and he would continue to excel here home station like he did on his deployment. He once again deployed to the desert in 2018, and many of us in this room were on that deployment with Joel as well. I again had the privilege of serving as an intel officer on that deployment, serving Joel and his other crews and crew members as they flew their missions. The crews were required to come and get a tactics briefing and an intel briefing before they would go out on their sorties. And I was there to brief them, and they had to endure the requisite Papa Hogue dad jokes each time. Joel always pretended that they were funny, and I appreciate that. On the 2018 deployment, Joel was especially blessed again to have another great crew. He flew with Steph Brown, Chris Bean, and Doug Otten. He always spoke highly of his fellow crew members, and he learned so much from his fellow loadmaster on that deployment, Doug. One of the highlights of that deployment was Joel's participation and support of a vice presidential mission into Jordan. He received an Aerial Achievement Medal for his outstanding work on that deployment and for his missions into many Middle Eastern countries and landings and operations in some pretty austere locations. A recurring theme throughout Joel's career was continued technical development, academic achievement, and professional education. In 2020, Joel achieved 2 major milestones in his career by completing the Non-Commissioned Officer Academy and also promoting to the rank of Master Sergeant. Made it to the top 3. Very impressive. Joel was a consummate learner, always eager to achieve the next level and become a better loadmaster and a better trainer. I admire Joel greatly, and he's been an inspiration to me and others because he is driven. He's driven both as a loadmaster in the Air Force, in his private work life, and he also keeps his family at the forefront of what he does. He confided to me how he draws strength from his wife Francesca and how he is guided by his faith. He is a wonderful family man, and he is very much loves and understands the extreme importance of his loved ones. Joel lets God lead him and his family members in their endeavors, and he has shared with me that he's always been impressed by his fellow squadron members and leaders for embracing him always and making him feel part of their family, whether with the 41st APS or in the 815th Airlift Squadron. This does not happen by accident. Joel presented and carried himself professionally and was able to build strong trust relationships and great friendships in the unit. He's told me how thankful he is for the strong bonds that he's forged and also for the squadron members taking care of him at times when life was not easy. As you listen, you can tell that Joel has had a very busy career and at times a whirlwind existence. Joel and Francesca welcomed their first son, Joel, into the world in 2009. Then, the stork later in 2012 brought their sweet daughter Elise. And in 2016, Nathaniel made his entrance into the family. is a beautiful family, Joel. You've got an absolutely beautiful family. All along the way, and especially when times were the toughest, this squadron rallied around Joel because he was part of their family. And Francesca was the steady rock that Joel relied upon to keep things together. As Joel was seeing his Air Force career eventually come to a near close, he was able to land an excellent job in August of this year as an upper-tier production lead for the U.S.-Israel Cooperative Missile Program. He will continue to serve his country in an extremely important capacity, working for the U.S. Missile Defense Agency at Redstone Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama. Joel's career, as you have heard and many of you have witnessed, is impressive. He has served admirably at Home Station, and he's deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Freedom Sentinel, and was instrumental in the success of Operation Steel Curtain and exercises like Green Flag, Arctic Anvil, and others. I've known Joel to have always been a man of character, one with a strong moral compass, and that has given him the opportunities to guide and mentor coworkers, be a fantastic coworker to them, friend, father, and husband. I draw inspiration from Joel as a loadmaster and as a personal friend. I can tell you on 12 September 2002, the Air Force became a better place, a better organization, because Joel Wilson decided to enlist in the world's greatest Air Force. He has given years of faithful service, dedicated himself to his profession, and navigated the challenges of holding multiple jobs while looking out for the best interests of his family. Joel, you and your family deserve recognition for your collective service and sacrifice to this country. Throughout Joel's career, he's been recognized as effective, as an expert, as a leader, a teammate, and one who continually is receiving high regard and praise from coworkers and squadron leaders. And what others say about you matters. It really does. It's often very telling. Let's listen to what others have said about Joel. As a young airman and junior NCO, Joel's supervisors and commanders said these things. Joel is a selfless worker, an effective team member, very diligent, constantly giving encouragement to motivate others with a positive attitude. He's an effective manager and a dynamic trainer. He is a career-focused and also education-minded airman. Joel is self-motivating, he's a hard charger, and a reliable NCO who is a humanitarian at heart. Joel moved through the ranks to staff sergeant and tech sergeant, and he was praised not just for his communication skills, but for improving the communications of others around him and the team. He was regarded as a superb leader, highly motivated and hard-charging, with the ability to mentor, teach, and earn respect from others. And that's important. If you have respect because of your rank, that's one thing. If you earn respect from others because of your actions, that's quite a different thing. His commander said he was an outstanding NCO, consistently surpassing their expectations and always leading by a powerful example. He was called a multifaceted expert aircrew member and a first-rate professional. His superiors said, "We need more Joel Wilsons in this Air Force." As Joel became more senior in the NCO ranks, he was considered a combat leader, a motivated, experienced expert aviator, a highly skilled, disciplined, and respected senior NCO, and a versatile team member and proven leader. He was called a dynamic leader and an inspiring wingman, and he encouraged excellence and exhibited the skill, temperament, appearance, and reliability expected of a true airlift professional. Joel, you indeed served as a true professional in your Air Force career. He has been very humble. He would never say the words of himself that I'm saying right now. But those words, all of them, they were said of Joel. They were said by his coworkers, his supervisors. They were said by his commanders. Those words speak to an Air Force professional of whom it can be truly said has completed a job very well done. It's particularly an honor for me today to speak on behalf of Joel because he is a hometown reservist. Joel graduated from Biloxi High School in 2002 right here on the Gulf Coast. I've got 5 children that graduated also from Biloxi High School. One of those, Joel has been an amazing friend to, Shane. Also, I coached Little League for many years at the very same field where Joel raised his right hand and took the oath of Air Force enlistment. Once again, Joel, it's been an absolute honor, and I appreciate you thinking of me, allowing me to be your speaker today. As I conclude and I consider your 20 years of service, I am humbled by your dedication and your honorable service, and how you faithfully executed your duties at the highest level, always with the best attitude. Your career has been one that all of us can admire and be proud of, and hope that when we retire, the same can be said of us. You have presented yourself and your family and represented them well. You've built a lasting legacy of service and have honored your family, your unit, the Air Force, and your country. You've delivered on the promises that you made in that oath over 20 years ago. Joel, congratulations. You have been an amazing warrior, aerial porter, loadmaster, and co-worker, but mostly, as you sit down, you take those laces off and undo your boots one final time, and you hang that uniform in the closet, and your reserve career sunsets. Know that you've been and continue to be an incredible, valued, and trusted friend to so many, and that includes me. Joel, today we honor you on this day of your retirement. Congratulations.